Good evening, everyone, and welcome. So, another week has passed, 11 days sort of on this impromptu just test, I suppose. Um, we'll see how it goes at the end of the month. Yeah, kind of hard to explain why. I think it is more of a test because of me just struggling to gain the weight. And I suppose, as I said last week, what I'd been eating to try and gain the weight was literally just traditional takeaways. I mean, I had McDonald's on one occasion, one or two, probably a handful of occasions. I mean, much of a muchness. It wasn't a lot. And it was a craving. It satisfied the craving, but it didn't fill me really. A few hours went by and I was hungry, like literally hungry. And I just noted that I didn't pick up the weight that I was looking to pick up. And I mean, it's not that it's easy for me to pick up the weight. It's just I imagined I'm gonna not bent or keto or whatever anyone wants to call it. I'm just going to, see what this does. And it was quite interesting to note that I didn't really pick up weight. I mean, or rather, I struggled. I mean, I aimed to get to about 140, 145, 150, 160 would have been great. And I say that because, it's dramatic because I'm adding on these lipids, these fats, and, my muscles are swelling, storing a lot more water, with inflammation and all of these things. So, just trying to sort out something here. So, it was really weird when I weighed myself that it's like, 123 point something. I didn't actually take note of the point what it was. But, you know, I just thought, well, let me try something and see if I can lose 43 kilos. Because, as I said last week, I'm supposed to be about 80, 81 for my height, which is about 1.81 meters. And I don't know if government is exactly right there with their studies, but, it is what it is. And just try and figure out what is it that I gained. Did I lose muscle mass? Did I gain pure fat? Did my body eat itself essentially because I wasn't eating enough nutritious protein? You know, is home cooked food not nutritious enough? All these things, trying to figure that out, was literally the gist of what I'm doing for the month of October. And it was just me going last week Monday, hey, you know what, I'm going to do this. Let's see how it goes. And I gave in. I won't say I gave in. Friday is Acne Day and Sunday is Acne Day. That's a Cape Town thing. So I kind of, you know, figured, well, it is Friday. I don't want to miss out. Maybe I had fear of missing out. Who knows? And I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The whole week of just being, I won't say purely keto, but most certainly under 50 grams of carbs a day. I'm not one to measure my food. I'm not one to go and take a cup and go, oh yeah, I can only have this amount of pasta or rice. I eat till I'm full. Now the amount that I can eat is, to me, it's extraordinary. It's impressive, and most commonly it's called, being gimba, uitgefriet, or whatever you want to call it. But the reality is that I stop eating when I'm full. That's always been me. I haven't overeaten to a large extent. I've made that error. Almost said a word I hate. I made that error and I was wrong a few times where I think I overate where it was unnecessary. I could have saved that for, later on. But I would just always stop if I was full. So I was more concerned, I'd say, if I think about it, about, my worry or my inability to gain the weight. That was a worry. And just to see that my systems are functioning. I mean, if you're injured, how long does it take you to recover? Do your nails grow? Does your hair grow? All those things are indicators of the health of your body. If your nails don't grow, if they take long to grow, then, you're deficient in something. If your hair takes long to grow, never mind the balding, you're deficient in something. So I used to have my theories about that, and I mean, I have a lot of theories, and I'm by no means suitably qualified, would be the easiest way. But I am fairly competent enough to understand myself. So I'm not necessarily saying I understand you or the next person, but just trying to figure that out. And for that week, it was easy for me to just go, okay, I'm having 6 or 8 eggs or 10 eggs today, and then I will make myself, the easiest being beef ragu, which is literally just spaghetti bolognese minus the spaghetti. And obviously using fat instead of oil, and not throwing in sugar or throwing in, tomato paste that contains sugar. Ideally, I should make my own tomato sauce. I still can't figure out what the seventh ingredient was. I'm just going to say it was sugar. I mean, it's basil, olive oil, tomato, salt, pepper, garlic. Yeah, could be sugar is the seventh one. I just leave the sugar out. And maybe just throw in onions. Finely minced onions, and get those sugars to cook out, and that should balance it out and sort it. And now I'm suddenly a chef. So, weighing myself the Friday last week, it was 119 point something. I think 119.9 or 8. So, I lost 3 kilos for the week. The pharmacist scale was off because I got on the scale and it was like 110 or something like that, or 109 or 108, and I was like 15 kilos in 4 days. I can't disagree, because if I look at it, my clothes look like blankets all of a sudden, possibly. But that didn't sound right to me. So, I just should have asked him for the second scale, because apparently there was one. So I went and bought a battery for my scale and put it in. And the scale said 120 or 119.8. I was like, okay, let me go back to the pharmacist with my scale, weigh myself on his scale and my scale. And I told the assistant, I don't have the scales out, and she brought out another scale, and we checked on all three, and it was 119.8 on mine and on the digital scale. And the analog scale, with a dial that spins around as you increase pressure on it, that was completely out. So either way. And it was zeroed on top of that, so I wouldn't really take those scales seriously. But the suffering, I did last week's show 6 p.m. or so. And I was like, well, burning off this acne like crazy. It's not really affecting me. The next day, I suffered like you wouldn't believe. And not like pain or gout or whatever, it's just like feeling like I literally drank. We're going to discuss that in length down the line. And then Sunday, kind of tapered off, and I was back on it on Saturday already. So I was like, okay, well, I'm banting because I had my full. Sunday came and I was like, do I go and take another stab at this acne? I know it's, because the guy, he makes a good acne, fatty beef. Yes, there's potato and rice in there, but nothing much else that could be wrong. I asked him, I said, what do you throw in this thing, like sugar? And he's like, no, 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 by whole spices, chili, some jeera powder, dhania powder, and he gave me the whole rundown of his recipe. And I was like, you shouldn't really do that because I'll go and cook it, and then I may just sell it. But he pointed me to the butcher where he buys his beef from, and I'm like a brother to him now. So either way, I thought to myself, I'm not gonna do this on the Sunday. And all of this week, it's been, if you've been following my statuses, the beef ragu, cabbage and meat. I'm going to try and change it up maybe next week, go and buy some vegetables and some cheeses, some dairies. And this is the thing, a lot of people see this as an expensive diet, which it is, based on the ingredients. A lot of people see this banting friendly crap in stores, and that's hugely expensive, useless, but that is not banting at all. In a nutshell, banting is, does it look like a piece of chicken? Does it look like a steak? Does it look like a lamb rib or lamb chop or pork chop or whatever? Does it look like that? Yes, eat it. If it doesn't look like that, in other words, it's processed, polony and Viennas and, spiced beef could be okay because it's cut from a leg that's been maybe slow roasted or sous vide or whatever it is. But you don't know what went into it. That's another thing about processing. You could have salami. It's fatty as hell, but you don't know what preservatives went in there. What kind of salt went in there. Sodium based, I'm sure, but some fancy concoction of salt that you may not know what, for instance. So that's one aspect of the proteins, fruits and vegetables and things like, avocado. It's fatty, so that will be a vegan's go-to. Oh, I can have avocado for fat. There's some things that, like this week alone, like I said, these 11 days and what's been happening, some meats just, they can't be compared to others. And a lot of people have said, oh, but beef is a complete branch chain amino acid profile, and so is lamb, and game, and chicken and fish can't equate to that, pork can't equate to that. All these things. Now I've noted that beef, if I eat that, I'm fuller for longer. So that's not a no-brainer. Having been through it and done it on 2 occasions, I've noticed that. So if I have chicken, like I had chicken the other night, and a fair sized portion, excuse me, I'm not measuring my food, but like I said last week, imagine a cricket ball in your hand. However small or big your hand is, that is more or less the size portion I'm talking about. And I should post some pictures to compare what I have eaten in the past compared to how I eat on banting. And I've said before, the people that knew me were like, how this, they, especially if they know me very well, they know I love food. There is no way I'm going to starve myself, as I said last week. But to understand that it's not that hard. It's literally like I said last week, fat per gram has more than twice the calories of a carb or a protein. I mean, carb and protein together doesn't even equal the calories of 1 gram of fat. So you're eating so little, and I mean, that could be a cricket-sized ball of just fat. There was times when I was banting, I was like, I'm not hungry, I'm just going to drink some fat. Literally. If you can stomach it, I did that. Whatever fat I had, it's just poured over everything. Poured over the cheese, and it congeals, and oh well. I'm just getting the calories in that I need. I need calories every day. People that cut their calories out, oh, if I go low cal, I'm going to lose weight. But like I said last week with the locomotive, if you have a locomotive running and pulling a massive train, it's going uphill, and you decide, oh yeah, I'm going to take, I'm not going to stoke the fire. That locomotive ain't going up the hill. And same with your body. You need calories. But we've been pumping bad quality calories into our body. That's the reality. So, well, yeah, I've got a viewer, subscriber. Good evening. I don't know if you're alive, if you want me to mention your name, but it is the starch in the rice and the potatoes that made me feel that way. And I'll get to why or what my theory is about that and what it could possibly be. But I've noted that it happens with certain things that you can make alcohol from. That's literally how I felt on, deep into banting, where it's like every day, 4 egg omelet, filling, fatty this, fatty that, loaded with cheese, yogurt, feta, cucumber for crunch, onion, something to balance that, what is literally just melted cheese type texture in everything that you eat. And it's fine if you're chewing something like a meat, because there's something to chew. And if you add something with crunch, it breaks that. And you have some lemon just to break that fattiness down in your mouth. And I mean, by no means go overboard on lemon. People use it as, and I even tried it as well. Let me see what the lemon can do. But it can accelerate the weight loss. And all it did was just, increase my calcium in the body and gave me issues. So, we'll see. But eating chicken didn't fill me as much as eating beef. So I could have a cricket ball sized portion of beef, whether it's mince or steak, and I'd be full. Like, literally, that's all I had today. What, 11:40ish this morning? I had just under a portion. I dished about 2 serving spoons into, freezing bowls and buckies and containers and whatever, and put them in the freezer after I made that big, literally, pot of fat. It was like 500 grams of lean mince, which is still fatty. And I added roughly a kilogram of fat to that, which was a lot. And then I added fatty cabbage as well. I was like, well, it's all going to cook into this. So let me just add fatty cabbage to it and, putting tomatoes in, putting tomato paste in, and masala, turmeric, onion. And the onion replaced what the sugar would have done, to sweeten it. As it cooked down, the sugar is cooked out of that, and, onions allowed. But I've been trying to assess this list because they've changed. Green, what used to be green is now something else. It's now on an orange list, orange A, orange B. Some items are on a red list. But I noted that the beef filled me and for a lot longer, so I halved the portion is what I had this morning, which I posted on my status with the braised cabbage and cheese. And what I did was microwave everything, and I just put the cheese on top and covered it again, put it back in the microwave, and left it for the cheese to melt. It melted quite well, but that's all I've eaten. What's it now? 6:20. So that's about 7 hours, I guess. 20 to 7. I'm still not hungry. And that's all I had. And from last night to 11:40, that's well over, maybe just over 12 hours. And it was chicken yesterday. I was like, I'm gonna have some braised chicken, and I had the chicken as I posted on my status, the time frame, and then by 7:30 or something. By the time I was done with the pitcast last night, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a bit peckish, which is weird. Yeah. So the beef fat clearly doesn't really stand up as much as the meat, the amino acids, the complete protein, which is something vegans are going to struggle to get. I mean, nothing against vegans. If you want to go that route, great for you. I've just discovered that half the stuff I ate on Banting before is actually very high in oxalates. I mean, that's something new to me. I didn't hear that. That's why you've seen I've just eaten cabbage and tomato as my vegetable. I'm trying to figure out which vegetables to actually get. But because I've only been doing those, which are moderately low in oxalates, I haven't had any issues. Spinach used to be the biggest thing. Oh, I'll just saute some spinach with mushrooms and onion and chili and sprinkle some feta over it, and awesome. But one of the highest foods in oxalates. And every time I had spinach, I was like, green leafy vegetables really a problem for me. This past week, obviously, people have been putting me on to Jordan Peterson and his daughter, Michaela Peterson, looking at the lion diet, and I laugh because, years ago I said, lions don't eat Gatsby's. I made that statement with a locomotive analogy. I was like, a lion, you don't see a lion hanging around going, oh, I think I'm going to go for a chip Gatsby or a full house masala steak Gatsby right about now. No. A lion eats what it needs to eat, what it knows to eat, what it lusts after as a carnivore, as a predator. And whether that be nature, whether us as humans have lost that instinct to, this is what I'm eating. I will drool if I see a steak. So that's probably my instinct going, eat that. That's what I want. I'm like that amoeba in Venom. I want brains. I want head. I don't want chicken. And I get that about a few weeks in where it's like, oh, I'm having steak tonight. And I'll, drizzle it up and dress it up with mushroom sauce and cheese, full fat cheese all over there, and mushroom sauce. And then mushroom sauce won't contain flour. It'll just contain the things that are necessary to make it, Full cream, full fat, double thick cream. If you don't eat that because you eat low fat yogurt, you have no idea what you are missing out on. And the usual onions, garlic. I'm throwing some parmesan in there, just double up with the stuff it can easily sort of mix and be, I don't know, a little bit more flavorful. Salt and pepper, and maybe some chili flake, whatever. All those things, you can. There are issues with them, but it's marginal, If you want to get down to what everyone is popularizing now, the carnivore diet and the lion diet, as everyone is calling it now, then you can do that. You don't have to. It's entirely up to you. But that's what I would do. A couple of weeks in, I'm still trying to figure out what is it that I'm gonna buy. Steak, yes. Tenderized steak, maybe it's very lean. It's usually lean, so I could buy that and mix it up with, a cream and make a cheesy, meaty sauce without the pasta. Or maybe I'll just make some pasta and see how that goes. If I just make flour and egg, make my own pasta, see how I feel afterwards. That's kind of been the week. It's been interesting to note what's been happening to my body, what's been happening to me, how I feel. And if you know me, you know I love to fight with reason, especially if there is someone being bullied. I'll stand up for them if they can't stand up for themselves. And people want to try and bully me, that's probably the worst mistake in your life, but go ahead. This past week, I've been an absolute savage, and I am thoroughly enjoying it. Thoroughly enjoying it, like you would not believe. Um, so 2 weeks in, I can almost say, it's as I said in my status, da fate. Da fate. You are going to lose if you're going to come up against me. And I mean, I've made a few trips this week to deal with a few matters, and the most interesting one I had on Monday was a civil court case where, for the last 3-4 weeks, the lawyers and the attorneys were playing games, sending me documents with incorrect dates. And I was like, please do, because you're sending this officially. It has to be going to the High Court like this. And I went last week to, for my own peace of mind, to the High Court, pulled the file from the judge's chambers, walked all the way to the judge's chambers. And I said, I'm looking for this file, please. Gave the file, inspected the file, and I was like, oh, here it is, And I've got on record that the person said, no, they were appointed the 30th of September. Now, you've got a document that says the 3rd of September. And the guy tells me over the phone, no, it's the 3rd of October. And I was like, please, do me the favor. And they've just been doing that favor of, perjury. And as far as I'm concerned, committing fraud within their affidavits. And, the lawyer sends me long messages as if that matters to me. But it was like, yeah, you didn't submit this and you didn't submit that. So I said outright, if you look at your own paperwork, which you've messed up, it says nothing about these are due. It says you want this. Am I correct? And he goes, yes. And I was like, okay, so I've given you that. Yeah, but you need to do this. I said, no. Your own paper says, if any. I don't need to respond to your affidavit. It doesn't say it compels me to. It says, if any. Please do it by this date. So I haven't, but I've submitted that. Yeah, we're going to have it submitted on the non-opposing. And I was like, you go ahead and do what you want, my friend. Monday morning, they're at my feet begging. Oh, yeah, can we agree to this? I said, no, well, I said that last week. You then told me a different story this morning. Now you're giving me another story and saying it's all off the card. So let's go. And this guy just looked at me in disbelief, the advocate. I was like, no, let's go. Stand in court, speak to the judge. The judge is like, you do realize you need to submit these by this date. I was like, yes, ma'am. And you are sure you? I said, not a problem, man. That's the day I'll do it. I'll do it on that day. It's done already, but I'll do it on that day. Just to piss on everyone's parade. That's the kind of savage I've been this week. That the advocate just didn't know he couldn't have an answer. And unfortunately for all of them, all that is recorded. Every single bit of juicy detail. I don't need to disclose that to anyone because they're engaging with me. I'm not eavesdropping on anyone. That's the kind of savage I've been this past week. 11 days in, that's the kind of thing that's been happening where it's at every angle. People making stupid statements in communities and I'll be like, so you're saying this? No, I didn't say that. I said, then shut the hell up. I'm not here to be nice. I'm looking for the facts. You're giving me a fluffed up story and you're getting loud. If you're going to get loud, then people are going to say, oh, he's getting loud. It must be the case. No, present me with evidence or shut the hell up. And a lot of people maybe don't like that, but that's me. I'm not here to be nice. I'm here to be civil. And I can be civil, but a lot of people say it's you're being rude because I didn't now say, oh, hi, my friend. How are you? And, what about all of these things? Are you going to be doing this? And I'm not here for that, You brought this to my table. So now you didn't expect me to react that way. And on top of that, I'm 7-8 days into savage mode. You're not going to survive. Ward councillors this week. I said this morning, I shat all over the city of Cape Town, Western Cape government, ward councillors, even newspapers. Some of them didn't even bother coming back. They sent me mails, but their response, oh, I'm out of office, but they're sending me mails. They don't know what to say or do. And I was like, I'm waiting for the information. I asked for this. Where is it? I've got free time on Sunday and sometime on Saturday. I want to read these things so I can go full force next week. I can bet you it's just going to be worse. And I know this because of what I've done in the past. Like I said, when I first tried banting, for me, it was like, you know, that movie Limitless, where the guy pops a pill and he's just next level beast mode. I mean, that was me. I remember a meeting in 2017 where I was on banting for about 3 weeks. And we went in, and this consultant, it was a maintenance meeting, this consultant was hammering myself and my team. Yeah, but I see the guys doing this, and I see the guys doing this. And I said, let me just stop you right there. What were the circumstances? And he just looked at me all confused, and I said, you don't know what their schedule's been like. So thank you for bringing it to my attention. I will query it with him, but don't take a shit all over my guys before you have the answers and you have the context. They could have been working the whole morning. They decided to take their tea at 12. I give them that freedom. If they want to play with that freedom, I will rein it in and they will cry. But when I submit paperwork for a method statement to do a shutdown at a hospital, I considered everything, and I told this guy, I said, you are playing with lives because there are people laying on a theater bed, and then you want to come and involve yourself in our works and shut off this and shut off that, and if that kills that person, I said, I'm holding you accountable. You think I won't? Do you think I'm scared of you? Now, I mean, long story short, that guy got sick and died, but either way, you know, the point is, I was a complete beast. Now, for someone like me, I thoroughly enjoy it, but not without reason, you know, with very good reason. I'm that sleeping dog, I'm that bear. If you want to wake me, if you want to poke me, that's probably your biggest mistake. Most definitely. And for someone like me, it just elevates all of that. You know, it elevates the good and the bad. And like I said, I may do the wrong thing, but I don't make a mistake. It was so precise in my daily operations, what I did. People come to me with excuses. I'll be like, but you had all these options. I mean, one guy came to me, and it sounds really ugly, but he came to me, you know, his daughter's 21st is on this. So can he lend X amount of money? I told him, did you not expect your daughter to reach 21? You know, since she was born, why haven't you been putting something away? So now it's me that must foot the bill that you want to have. What's the agreement going to be to pay it back? And he didn't know what to say. I said, look, I'll give it to you. But the point is, take some responsibility, man. Be accountable. Did you not expect your child to reach 21? Or matric balls? Did you not expect your child to reach matric? I mean, the realities of some of the areas with social ills fair, you know. Death rates are unbelievably high, all these things. And for someone like me, it brings people to tears at times. So, I mean, you know, if I look at this last week, you know, these 11 days and what's been happening, and we are back at Friday, and I'm sitting there going, ooh, I really smoked some beef acne. And, you know, I didn't give in. Um, you know, maybe last week was a bit of fear of missing out, you know, but it would come around again. I mean, 7 days repeat itself. Sunday to Saturday, next it's Sunday again to Saturday. Seasons change, things may change, but some things that happen every Friday and every Sunday are just going to happen every Friday and every Sunday. So I didn't have acne today. But I have said here and there on my status that, you know, this pot and this pan had this last bit of fat, and I don't have the low carb wraps. That is something I'll get. So I just had bread, half a slice of bread. I think, you know, having gone from eating 12 to 14 slices of bread a day, and I mean, like, that's why I figured I'd be gaining the weight. You know, I'd have like 8 slices of, you know, toast with peanut butter, toast with cheese, toast with peanut butter, cheese, and jam. You know, toasted cheese, peanut butter, and jam. As weird as that may sound, try it. Spread one thin layer of jam on this side, one thin layer of peanut butter on that side, cheese in the middle, and toast the hell out of that thing. Salt and pepper, you'll get all that sensations of sweet and sour and whatever. It's weird. I was like a Cape Flats Elvis. And I had like literally one day I had a half a slice, the other day I had one slice of bread, and I could feel my body kicking in, that sugar rush, and then starting to sweat and the heat, and then just suddenly it dissipates because, I'm burning it up so quickly. I've ignited my metabolism since day one, day two. And this week I decided to just, on Tuesday, I think it was, I'm just going to walk. Because a lot of people have come to me with that argument and said before, yeah, we can't do what you're doing, 40 Ks in a month, intense exercise, and eating this type of diet, this style of way, the style of diet. And I'm literally talking, 37 minutes upper body, and that chest, back, arms, like triceps, biceps, and shoulders. Done. 6 sets each. 12, 10, 8, 6, back to 12, switch and exercise, take a minute break, next muscle part. And, the legs, 22 minutes, quads, hamstrings, calves, same type of thing. 6 sets, 12, 10, 8, 6, 12, switch over to a different exercise, next muscle group. I used to train for 3 hours a day. 3 hours of just bench press when I was younger. I can probably still do it because that was one of the things. I was like, oh, well, in 2017, I'm going to eat, I'm going to go to gym. And everyone was like, but you haven't been to gym in like forever. I was like, well, we'll see if I collapse, die, or whatever the case may be. And I still managed to do it. It was a hell of a mission, obviously picking lighter weights, but it was intense enough that I was out of breath. Like, I wanted to lay down, and I laid down in that gym for half an hour, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go and sit in the steam room with a sauna or something. But the high that I was on after that, I was like, okay, yeah, still got it. And in that month, I didn't get close to my peak weights, fair, but it was intense enough that my body was going into overload of metabolism, burning energy, and me just going, well, weird, I'm not hungry, but I was burning my own body fat. That's how I lost the 40 kilos. And I can say it was pure fat and water because if I'd lost muscle, I would have gotten weaker. I got stronger, which meant I was building muscle, and muscle is heavier than fat. So I lost a hell of a lot of weight to still lose 40 kilos and be stronger than when you started. Means you lost a lot more than 40 kilos in fat. I looked like I was wearing blankets. I had to go and buy new clothes. And then doing it a second time because people were like, oh, yeah, they can't exercise, they can't even walk. Or saying, well, okay, let me try and eat myself thin. And no exercise. Maybe a walk here or there, but no exercise. And I did a little test walk, 2.3 kilometers around Rondebosch Common. And I just didn't walk again because I was like, yeesh, I can't walk in these shoes. My ankles are paining, so I need to go and find proper walking shoes. I was walking in running shoes. And I lost similar amounts, close to 40 kilos in 4 months. Just eating. And for me, that was significant data because I'm like, okay, that's a significant amount of weight for someone that's obese, that can't walk 200 kilos. Eat yourself thin in 4 months. You should lose maybe between 10 and 20 kilos. Not like me. I went extreme. I'm cold turkey. I'm not saying people should do that. If you want to try it, you're more than welcome to try it. You may just end up crashing in the opposite direction quite poorly. Maybe it works for you. See. And in that time I did a test, and I was like, well, let me just see what my cars do quarter mile, and then 3-4 months into it, let me do that test again because I've lost now 30 or so kilos. The car's quicker. But it's not just losing the weight, it was the mobility, The inflammation in my joints wasn't there. My arm and my leg was healthier. It was more in sync. I could shift a lot better. And we're talking close to a second, if not a second, in some of the cars. That's significant. People are buying 45,000 Rand turbos. I'm very sure my diet didn't cost me 45,000 Rand in 3 or 4 months. And I've said this since then. I was like, you know what? In two races as well around the country. I said, well, you know, want to go quicker? Start with you. Lose the weight. Look at you. And I'm not being judgmental. I'm saying I'm also obese. Is this the definition of an athlete that we want to have? You know, it was said in 2022 by Harry from Gas Magazine. We want to call the guys athletes. And it ties into this project that I started in 2021. Well, restarted. But the channel that I started. To say, well, I like this concept. But I mean, can we refer to ourselves as athletes? I posted a picture on one of my channels to show what a cyclist looks like. What, you know, a bodybuilder looks like, and what a drag racer looks like. And it was completely hilarious because that is us. Afdak for old tools, irrespective of our physiology. You know, ectomorph, endomorph, mesomorph, we all have this afdak and we don't look like athletes. Yes, we're sitting in a car, we're sitting still, but what I noticed in those 3-4 months, my ability to respond and react to shifts, to changes, was precision. And if I look at the graphs measuring the quarter mile, you can see the car doesn't dip where there's a gear change. The car doesn't lose momentum. It's just a straight up graph. And for me, that was significant. So, you know, me wanting to do this again the third time and do it publicly and document it on my channel with, you know, side by side with my race cars and my play toys, just to prove the point, because you've still got these. I just want to shut some of these morons up in a nutshell. And I mean, these 11 days, like this morning, what did I say? 123 before I started, point something, that I weighed myself at one of the suppliers' industrial scales, which is a precision scale. 119.8 or 9 last week Friday. This morning 116.9. I think I posted it on my status. Another 3 kilos. That's 6 kilos in 2 weeks. And mixed with that, I said I started walking on Tuesday, you know. Now I know my rate is about 5 kilometers an hour. That's what I can walk, or that's what I've walked before, which isn't exactly fast, but it's brisk. And I noticed on Tuesday, obviously having not walked in a very long time, I was like, okay, I need to, you know, take my time here. It took me, an hour to complete about just under 4 kilometers, maybe under 3 kilometers, thereabouts. 5.53, so under 4 kilometers. And Wednesday, you know, it got a little bit better. Thursday, it got a little bit better. Today, it got a little bit better. But I was embarrassed when I saw this individual that I was walking, and they just came past me like they were headed to their next shift. But it's end of day, and I'm like, damn. You know, proper walking, arms swinging, legs going. I'm like, geez, okay, yeah, I don't think I can keep up with that. But, you know, I might just use it as a metric and see. Hopefully I catch that person again and go, okay, let me see if I can keep up with this individual. You know, so I'm getting past as I'm walking. But, you know, I'm not as sore as I was Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I mean, Thursday morning I wasn't as bad. This morning I wasn't as bad. Tomorrow I won't be in that much discomfort. Not really pain, just, you know, you felt your muscles were like, oh, that was a workout. So that should accelerate it. I mean, you know, the first week I lost water. And if I look at my skin, it's snapping back insanely, you know, well hydrated, but I've lost water. So I've got the essential water in my body. And I would have expected the weight loss to be between 1 to 2 kilos, not 3. But my point is, this week with the exercising, with the walking, I've now ignited that metabolism, sped it up somewhat. And I'm on track to lose the same. So I'm keen to see what the weight loss is like next week. Is it another 3 kilos? Is it more? Is it starting to taper off? you know. How am I going to... I haven't reached, in my opinion, the visceral fat yet around my gut. But I can feel it's breaking down because it's not as hard as it used to be. It's soft. So the body's starting to burn it. And like I said, I'm in ketosis since last week already. And it maybe not... I mean, people don't really have a problem with my aroma, I'll call it that. You're the book. That highly customized, specialized flavor of bush. But that is one side effect. So, I mean, I just have to shower twice a day instead of once a day. Now with it being getting a little bit hotter and into summer, we'll see. I'm going to be free bagging it when I go into a meeting. I'll just be like, what's up? Pluckies, shorts, t-shirt, or maybe a shirt and tie, shorts and pluckies. And that's probably the only side effect of the downside. And I mean, I love garlic, so I'm going to compound that even worse with the garlic and the onion. But I mean, it's weird to notice this because it takes, like I said, 6 to 8 hours to metabolize the fat that we eat. So if we're eating that in conjunction with carbs, then the body just eventually stores that fat, and it has carbs to burn for energy, so you don't burn the fat that you are storing, which the body needs to start breaking down and go through that whole phase, or that withdrawal phase, to start breaking it down and using it for energy. So now that you're in ketosis, you're eating fat, and it takes 6 to 8 hours to metabolize that and store it. Your body has to burn the fat that you have for energy to be able to metabolize the fat that you're eating. Now, like I said, I'm by no means a professional in this regard, but 40 kilos in a month is no joke. 40 kilos in 4 weeks of just eating, no exercise, is no joke. And the logic to me is sound. Fat has more calories per gram. It takes long to metabolize. If you have no other energy to burn to be able to generate the processes and get that motion working to metabolize the fat you're eating, then you are going to be burning fat. And that could be what's happening around the visceral fat, the gut fat. The subcutaneous fat is clearly out of my arms because I can see the veins appearing as if I'm heavy lifting. I look thinner where there would be inflammation and fat stores. That's starting to go, the subcutaneous fat in the limbs and so forth. My legs look thinner. You can see the muscle. So if we're eating only that, the body has to burn the reserves to achieve that, to metabolize it. I mean, they say the average safe weight loss rate is 500 grams of fat per week, if you're actually burning the fat. So that used to be the thing, green apples, lemon water, go to gym, and I'm losing 0.5 kilos a week of fat. It's a safe rate. You think you're losing it. I just went from 0.5 to 3 kilos. And second week in again. Is that unhealthy? Because I'm feeling great. Like I said, I've been delivering klapper left, right, and center this week. 2 today. My blood pressure's down, but I'm eating all the things that doctors say you must avoid. 2 eggs a week. I'm having like 6 to 8 eggs a day. One of the days I had like 10 eggs. Deep fried in fat. Beef fat. Don't eat red meats. Red meats are bad. I've got one doctor that said, try that. Go on that diet. I believe in it. The others are all like, 2 eggs a week, the cholesterol. Now, HDL and LDL cholesterol are two different types of things. HDL, I think, is the bad one. LDL is the good one. I'm not too sure. You can go in Google and check it and see what's for what. But my blood pressure is lower. My blood pressure has never been under 140 over 110. When I banned, my blood pressure is like 120 over 80. I mean, the blood pressure range was even moved up to 140 to accommodate people, and it was said, it's a cultural thing, it's a demographic thing, these people generally have higher blood pressure. So 140 over 110 is normal. 140 over 90 is normal. And here I'm going, well, now that I'm not eating the crap from places that manufacture these cook-in sauces and spices and ready-made packet soups and margarines and peanut butters, suddenly my blood pressure is what people are always saying is the right mark, and sometimes under. I don't feel dizzy, I'm not lightheaded, so I'm clearly not anemic. I don't have low blood pressure. And it's interesting to note all these things. Now, like I said, last week I probably lost a lot of water. Fat weighs nothing, really. As I told you, if you have a fistful in your right hand of fat and a fistful of, meat or muscle in your left hand, that same size, if the fat weighs a kilo, the muscle will weigh 4 kilos. More or less, give or take, but it's 4 times the weight for the exact same volume. That's how little fat weighs. So put that into perspective. If you've got 40 kilos of fat, that's a lot of fat. You look fat because it's a lot of it, but it weighs nothing, but it's high in calorie count. So you've got the reserves for days. I mean, there was an article of a guy that ran marathons, but he didn't look like a runner. He looked like a couch potato. That's just his physiology. It was I think it's a mesomorph. He's just built big. But his secret was his chowed fat. People carb load. He's like, for what? I'm gonna chow fat. And he's got energy for days. He runs marathons like that. That's his fuel. People are out here carb loading pasta and to get all this ATP into their muscles for the run. I mean, this guy wasn't drinking salt or as much water or whatever for the cramps. He didn't even have cramps. I mean, even with my walking, today I tried to do some brisk walking, and like I said, I was embarrassed by this individual that just flew by me. But I'm not cramping. I'm not throwing insane amounts of salt, but it is what it is. Then, like I said, the evidence is in my neck, my face, and my limbs. The visceral fat will take longer as it's densely packed, but my clothes are visibly looser. So, I mean, I've got some more messages that I'd like to read to you. So, what's the suggestion? You should actually only eat red meat twice a week, as it takes your body a very long time to digest it, and that is also why you feel fuller for longer. But you should eat items that the body can digest quicker, as it speeds up your metabolism. That's in very large part, true. And that's kind of why I focus on red meat, because I've noticed if I eat pork or chicken or fish, it fills me, but there's such a low branch chain amino acid profile that I just get hungry again. I can start to feel peckish, so I just have beef. And like I said, this is heading down the carnivore diet, the lion's diet, the thing that I joked about years ago, where a lion doesn't go, I think I'm going to have a steak Gatsby today. I'll make it a full house steak, masala steak. So, I've tried it. I think last week I tried to skip beef and, I had eggs for one day and I felt really crap, to be honest. To the point that the next morning I had to have that beef ragu. And I felt fine. Is it an dependence on that? Maybe. We'll see. We'll find out. And I'll try and mix it up and see. But I mean, today's an example. I didn't eat since last night, 10 o'clock, thereabouts, till 11:40 this morning. I had a half a portion of the beef ragu that I portioned out, some cabbage and cheese. Now, obviously the cheese is, cow milk, processed into what we know as cheese. So there is some processing there, but again, it's all of those enzymes, and technically we shouldn't be drinking milk, but either way, technically all of those enzymes are in there as well, in your dairies as well. And all these things aren't on the green list. The dairies, the cheeses, all these things. It's on an orange list now. I think the second one used to be on orange A or whatever. So I need to get myself off that. Do I want to go down the lion diet, the carnivore diet route? I don't know. I could, but I'd love to have a steak with a mushroom sauce and cheese. And Tabasco apparently you can have, so okay, I'll have a steak with Tabasco. I'll deep fry some onion rings in almond flour. Actually, no. Almonds, I believe, is also high in oxalate. So there goes that idea. I'll just deep fry onions as is, dip it in egg, deep fry it, and make myself some onion rings. Maybe try some sweet potato fries. Some can't have beetroot. That's apparently also high in oxalate. Not that I like beetroot at all. So sweet potatoes are great. Potatoes fairly high in medium to high in oxalate, but it's clearly not on the list. So it'll be interesting. I'll make that dish and I'll take pics and I'll probably amaze myself. Take the camera out and take some proper pics, not with a phone, and see what it looks like. And we'll see. But yeah, it takes your body a long time to digest and metabolize protein as well. And you can't really store that. You know, if your body is satiated and you've got enough protein that you need for muscle maintenance, the rest just goes through your system and comes out. It's wasted. So all these people on the lion diet and the carnivore diet, they're like eating, I didn't know I could eat this much. And I'm sitting there going, eating 4 calories per gram. So you're going to eat a 200-gram steak. That's 800 calories. Like, work it out. I can have 50 grams of fat. Well, 100 grams of fat. And get 900 calories. Now, for some, it's going to be very hard to drink 100 grams of fat or eat 100 grams of fat. Butter's one easy way. Would you want to eat a stick of butter? I've seen some people do that as well, but to me, everyone's popularizing this on TikTok and they're going this whole route. And yes, it will work, but I mean, I can eat about a kilo of steak, 500-gram lazy aged, and I'll have another 500-gram lazy aged. So a kilo of steak will give me 4,000 calories. A kilo of fat will give me 9,000 calories. So I can have a half a kilo of fat. It's about just over 4,000 calories, 4,500 calories. There's the calories for the day. But you can't just have that because your body, especially if you're moving, if you're active, if you're exercising, even if you're doing a routine, you need some protein to replenish your muscle. I mean, I'm sure I could break this up into 100 million shows and focus on a single topic, but these things aren't scripted, so I'm just having a discussion, you and I. Or I'm having a discussion and you hopefully engaging with me on WhatsApp or on the group or in the chats or wherever. So, a mix. I'll have a third of the steak, or at least have a fatty steak ladled up with, maybe do like I had a steak once in, what's this town? The garden route where Pine Lake Marina used to be. I got there the night. I was like, oh, restaurant's still open. I'm hungry. To expect to make something now is crazy. Went in there. Can I have a steak, please? Sure. How would you like it? Medium rare, the usual. It came with cheese, eggs, and chips. And I looked at this and I was like, eggs? Huh? Oh, I had it. I was hungry. And it for me I was like, okay, I need to always have my steak with eggs. So, I'll have steak, cheese, mushroom sauce, fried egg. And I'm not one for a runny yolk at all, but I've kind of grown onto it, so I'll do that. Sorted. And these people are eating on this carnivore diet like this massive plate of steak and this massive plate of eggs, and they're like, never knew I could eat so much, but once you're on the diet, you just eat and eat, and when you're done, you're full, you stop eating. And I'm like, don't you be having so much protein? That's just me, you know? I can measure that. I can gauge that if I go back to gym and I say, well, let me go and do upper body today, cardio tomorrow, legs Wednesday, cardio Thursday, upper body Friday, cardio Saturday, rest Sunday. And that's the routine, 6 days a week. And you can swap out a day for the rest day and, decide to go out tonight or whatever the case may be. You try all of these things and you come to the realization yourself. I mean, what I'm saying shouldn't be what you should take as gospel. Try things for yourself. And we see. So I'm really struggling to put a shopping list together. I've got the meats down, and I need beef mince. Depending on the cost, I may just go extra lean and or steak mince, because why would I want to be paying for fat? You know, pay 89.99 for lean mince, which is fattier, but you're paying for the fat at that rate. So I would rather just buy the extra lean mince, get more meat, and pay the slightly higher premium, but it's pure meat, and go and buy fat at a stupidly low price. As I showed someone the other day, I said I can combine this to make lean mince that comes to just over half the price of what lean mince is. And then I know that it's lean mince with no cereals and stuff, whereas ground beef is a whole bunch of crap to fill it. Soya, cereals. And I found that out when I had a serious bout of gout. And I was like, why? I don't understand why I'm getting the gout. And then I looked at the ground beef, and I was like, okay, ground beef is a keyword for absolute crap. But, having steak mince, and steak was what, 140 Rand a kilo. And I was like, don't need to be having this. I'm going to go and buy a smaller portion of it, mix it with fat, make lean mince that came out to just over half the price. And there you had it. Made burgers from that, made all my own things. I'll find those pics and I'll post it. I mean, there's so many things I need to post. And I said I'll do an Instagram. I tried to actually register an Instagram, by the way, and it failed me, even though that was the process. So, Murphy's Law, my luck. That's how it goes. People will sell you on, but you can do this, it works great, and then when you try it doesn't work. So, you're just bullshitting me. But either way. So, yeah, thank you, Gaynor. um, you know, for the messages and all these things. But yeah, you could eat more meals more frequently to keep your metabolism going. I'm obviously going the other route to say, well, I'm going to eat when I'm hungry, because that's what a lion does. I mean, like I said, everyone's on this lion diet, and I'm going, well, that was kind of my approach when I started. I'm not going to say anything about it. It was 7 years ago. But what does a lion do? It eats until it's full. It goes to sleep. Repairs itself, repairs the body, prepares itself for the next thing, and that's all it does. Humans, we are different. We have things to do. Could we survive by just, how are we going to survive? How are we going to pay for the food? How are we going to pay for all of these things that are not out in the wild? Being civilized, being in a home, not being in the street, and scavenging or finding a cow roaming and chowing it, for instance. So yes, we are different, but that's what I want to try and see. Eat when I'm hungry, eat till I'm full. What happens to my body? Obviously, I don't go and sleep. The lion chooses to do that. He's full. What is his next goal? He doesn't have any. His only goal is to survive. Find water, eat food, breathe the air, survive, avoid being mauled or becoming prey. So he conserves his energy. I mean, even on off days, I'll wake up early and sort out my day and go and work on my car or something. I don't need to be sleeping late. I mean, I argued with an individual in the week to say they were complaining about a rooster making a noise. I was like, then take the rooster's cue. Get up. Sort the things for your day. Yeah, but I'm retired. I said, well, sort the things for your day. You're going to sleep your day away. You're going to die sleeping. You're just wasting the time, the gift that you've gotten of actually being able to open your eyes and hearing the rooster and registering it's making a noise. Go for a walk. And as ignorantly as my people are, yeah, you expect me to take a walk at 4 o'clock in the morning. How stupid. I was like, no, my friend, you are being stupid. I didn't say take a walk at 4 o'clock. I said, get your ass up. Sort out your day. But you know what? Dumb like this, I can't deal with. So I was like, cheers, guys. Thank you very much. Live in your ignorant bliss. It's fine by me. So, what's this? Add feta to your cream for your mushroom sauce. Yeah, no, I'll do all of that for sure. I've put that on the list. Feta, parmesan, cheddar. I've got a very nice rate that I get cheddar at. So it's like 109 Rand a kilo. It works. It grates. You can see it's fatty. It's hard. And it supports the system. I mean, like I said, if I eat any kind of carb, obvious carb, like bread or whatever, now I can feel there's a carb kicking in because I suddenly get hot. I can feel I'm starting to sweat, all these things. And yeah, the lion diet is literally meat, water, and salt. Now, I mean, can I do that? Probably. Do I have the willpower to do that? Maybe. Would I want to do that? Hell no. Mushrooms, cheese, yes, bring it on. But we'll see. After following Michaela Peterson and Jordan Peterson and listening to her, she's, unfortunately, do not sound rude, she's sickly. So her thing was, she had all arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, which is literally gout. She had that since she was 2 or 7 or whatever she was diagnosed. She had a hip, ankle replaced, put on all these medications. I mean, a rheumatologist told me the same thing. Oh, you need to take Puricos and it will manage the gout. And I'm sitting there looking at this obese F across the table telling me I must take this pill. He's on this pill, so that entitles him to eat whatever he wants, and he looks like a slob. But he's telling me I'm obese. And I must take this. And I was like, okay, well, what are the side effects? Oh, well, you could bleed out of your skin, but keep taking it. Once you're on it, you can't get off. And I was like, thank you very much. No, thank you. I'll find out what is causing my gout. And that kind of set me on this path in 2014, 15. To just discover that all the things that people said I must avoid because of gout, I can eat. But if you look a bit deeper, it's the low quality crap. The ground beef, you know, salted and cured bacon. I mean, I love that. But the minute I eat that gout, so I don't know, I have to cure my own bacon then. But now recently I discovered that, there's histamine in pork. If you suffer from sinuses or allergy or whatever the case may be. So now I was like, well, gonna cut that out. Great. So I might go down the lion diet route. I mean, I'm not mad at steak. Fatty steak even better. Does it need to be Wagyu? I don't really think so. That's just indulgence, a pleasure. But normal fatty steak is fine by me. That stringy bits on there, I'll get the collagen from that. All these things that people are supplementing with. Collagen powder, all of these things, drinking fiber, and I'm sitting there going, damn, I'm just going to eat a stringy steak. Everything that's on that steak. I'll even gnaw the bone if there's bone. I mean, I had bone marrow for the first time a few years ago, and I was like, it's on the side there, I don't know what to do with this. I'm just going to scoop it out onto the steak and I'll try it. And I never ate that. I was like, okay, it agrees with me. It doesn't disagree with me, but we'll see. So yeah, the lion diet is literally meat. People stick with steak, but it's lamb, beef, salt, water. I can do that. Water, I can definitely use. Salt, I'm not mad at. I can even have the steak without salt because the fat is flavor. So if sodium becomes an issue, I can cut that out as well. We'll see. You kind of need salt in your body. And I'll go through that experiment, see where it goes. I'll see where this month leads. I don't know. I wanted to just figure out why am I not gaining the weight that I expected to gain. And it turns out that traditional takeaways is not as bad as fast food chain takeaways. So how crappy is those McDonald's burgers and the shakes with the fries? Because that's a meal. You'll see a burger, fries, and a shake, or burger, fries, and a soft drink. That's the meal. So you kind of condition yourself, that's my meal. I'm going to have a side of fries with everything and drink with everything. I could have water and I'm already on the right path. A Big Mac or a McFeast with fries and water. I'm already on the right path. Big Mac or McFeast only. I'm 2/3 of the way there. Look at the McFeast, the meat. That's, all these places love 100% pure beef. 100% dry. So we have to put sauces on it to make it palatable. And the sauces have sugar. The bun has sugar. Hell, the meat probably has sugar in it. I mean, I could probably make a better version and I'll try that. I'll make a burger wrap or make a burger with these. I mean, you can have these specialized low carb buns if you want to have a burger tonight, and it's a hell of expensive. I would actually honestly just go and get bread, cut it out into a bun shape in there, or even just go and buy a roll and take the carb knock for the day to enjoy my burger. And in part, it comes down to that. You can't starve yourself. If your body craves it, once in a while, do it. Psychologically, it's beneficial to do it. And even going through that process, you're going to feel crap the next day. I can guarantee you. But you'll come to the realization that, you know what, if I cut this out, my results will be a lot better. And that's kind of the realization I came to Sunday already. And obviously today. Don't get the acne. Because I know how I felt. And second week in, I'm matching first week's weight loss. But I'm stronger, which means I lost a lot more fat than the 3 kilos. I'm hydrated. It's evident in my skin. Like I said, it snaps back. I've lost a lot more fat than 3 kilos this week. So, all these things you need to try for yourself. Hopefully this that I'm doing, this podcast, just inspires you to try. Make a small change. You don't need to go extreme like me and go, right, poof, today I'm having eggs. And you normally have like a pack of noodles or a pie, and I think I'm using one of my buddies' go-tos here, and there's nothing wrong with that. You need to eat. You can't not eat, and that's what I don't get with people. Oh, I'm gonna go on a diet. I'm gonna have salads. I'm gonna have lemon water. I'm gonna have cucumber. Your body is looking at you like that meme of that people in disbelief looking up and going, "What? You're out of your mind." And slowly they will get sick. The metabolism will slow down. The body will go into a state of shock, and go, "Whoa, there's a famine. We're not getting energy." Store whatever it is you have, and your metabolism slows down, and you wonder why you're not losing the weight. So then you give up and you start eating normally, and your metabolism is still slow. And then you pack on the weight because your body goes, "Hey, here's calories. Store it. Store it. Just use what you need to use. Store the rest." That happens. You cannot have a fire going and you're not stoking that fire by adding more fuel to it. You can't have a massive fire and you don't throw wood on the fire. It's going to die out. That's what happens with people's metabolism. You know? Full blue rare steak. Yeah, I don't know. I could do that. I mean, I've had meat raw before. Beef raw before. I could do that. But now, ooh, you're making me list for blue cheese steak with mushroom sauce. Yeah, leave the mushroom sauce. Just blue cheese on a steak. That's stink cheese. And there's a pizza like that. I mean, I think it's Bardelli's. They do a low carb base. They are halal, I think, in Rosmead Avenue, and there is an unhalal one as you go to Kenilworth Station, up towards the station on the right, from Rosmead Avenue up. Beef, avo, blue cheese on a low carb base, and yeah, that'll be one of my indulgence or indulges. And now I'm less for that. But I don't know. The more raw, the better, you say here, Gaino. You should try the lion diet, as I like raw meat. Give it a go. See, I mean, it's what's going to happen the first week or two is your body's going to go into withdrawal. And a lot of people are saying, wean onto the lion diet. Like I said, cut out one thing and then try and cut out another thing and then work your way down to that, maybe. Unless you want to go cold turkey, give it a try. It's like literally a crack addict cutting out cocaine. That's how it is for people that consume sugar. Because it's more addictive than cocaine. And I've read that somewhere as well. You know, your body is so conditioned to that your mind starts to play games with you. I mean, I thankfully, like I said, I did not want to diet. When I found this, I was like, eat meat, eat fat. Hell yes, I've been wasting, throwing that rind away. But that's the best, fatty biltong, the best. When I go through the Karoo, then it's like I have to try this Tanny's pies because I'm hardly here, and she makes proper fatty beef, fatty lamb pies. And yes, it's a pastry, it's bad, but I'm willing to enjoy and indulge for that moment and suffer the after effects, and I can accept that because, like I was telling people before, I know the secret. And I'm sort of giving you guys the info here and there, but I mean, it's literally the way my grandmother used to eat. My grandfather used to they used to save the beef fat and put it in the fridge and use that as their butter if there wasn't butter. But that's what they ate: meat, eggs, home baked bread, meat, sorry, like beef, chicken, cheese, and butter and beef fat, not margarine. I mean, I saw someone put a buck of margarine out in the yard, and the dogs didn't even go near it. Flies didn't even go near it. Butter, the dogs went to sniff and they licked that, and it's like, yeah. So an animal can give you a key. If you're unsure what to eat, throw it outside and see if your dog eats it. If your dog just, don't eat it. Quick tip. But yeah, a liquor fatty steak, blue cheese. I think, what's the name of that place? Bossa does a blue cheese steak. Magic. You can, I suppose, order it without basting and just say, please, I'm allergic to sugar. I'm allergic to all these things. No basting, just the pure meat, please, and your blue cheese sauce. What's in your blue cheese? I was going to ask that, what's in your blue cheese sauce? I say, well, if you can make it, can you please make it without this? Or I'll just indulge for the night and have it. See how it goes. But yeah, this week has been really interesting. 11 days in, 6 kilos gone. There's a spring in my step when I walk now. It can only get better. I'm still not hungry. It's almost time for me to do the podcast at 8. And I'm not hungry. I may just do that because that podcast might run into an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'll run into being hungry. And you don't really want to be hungry for too long because then you start to set off those enzymes and those sort of things where your body goes, hey, there's a famine, we're not getting food. So eat. If you feel hungry, eat or if you're starting to feel peckish, eat because by the time you're hungry, your body's already in shock. So that's a suggestion of Gainos to eat more frequent meals. You could try that. Figure it out and see, well, I'm going to eat at 6 or 5, and I'm going to eat at tea time, I'm going to eat at lunchtime, I'm going to eat at afternoon tea, I'm going to eat in the evening, and stoke the fire. That's one way of doing it. I mean, like I said before, like I said yesterday, and like I said last week, if everyone goes this way, I'm going to go that way. And that's what I'm doing. I'm not saying you should do that. But, you know, see. See what works for you. And try that. So, yeah. It's been an interesting 11 days. And I don't know if I should, for me, once a week is actually working out great for this. And I'm trying to do the same with the other podcasts and the podcast. Just once a week. Not every day. It gives me time as well to make notes, things to discuss, but I don't really want to script these things. To me, that just loses its authenticity to script it and say, oh, this is what I'm going to say, and we're going to leave it there. So, yeah, I don't know. I really was embarrassed by this individual that just flew by me, and I'm going, hey, I'm approaching 5 kilometers an hour because the walk took me half an hour. I broke it up into segments. I did 2 of them. The one took me half an hour, the other one took me half an hour. I measured it. I was like, okay, in an hour I'm walking this rate. Now it's taking me like 20 minutes. So the speed is getting there, and if I work it out, 40 minutes for 3K. It's close to 5Ks, and this person just went bam right past me, like if they were headed to another shift or something. I have no idea. It was insane. So yeah, you know, yeah, I suppose you could call it that, because I've seen a lot of people saying, they intermittently fast, and I mean, in a way, I've done this before, with friends at gym in the 2000s, 99, 2000, 2001, where a lot of my friends were, it's time to fast, so they're gonna fast, and all the progress that they've done, they're going to lose. And I'm not by any means religious in any of the senses, but I told them, I said, well, why don't you, when you break fast in the morning, before you start fasting, have this? And then it was your low carb, your low glycemic index carbs, like oatmeal and things that take longer to burn. And that made a change compared to having sugars, like obvious sugars, like Kellogg's, bowl of Kellogg's, and milk and sugar have oatmeal. Or, a wheat bread or something with a protein on it. And they did that, and the majority of them never lost their muscle. They were sometimes even coming to gym and training at night, which that's their choice, but they changed their way of fasting. And when they broke fast, they didn't break it with, greasy samosas and savories and things like that, and cakes. And, they broke it with a date, and they had, they cooked food, and they had dairies, and they had avo. And I mean, back then, avo was a thing. It was like, okay, well, it's high in fat, and it's good for you. And I used to incorporate in everything with the banding recently, but even since then, I loved avo, nuts, and all these things. And they all showed signs of maintaining their muscle mass, their muscle definition. They weren't emaciated at the end of it. And whether that was right or wrong of me and them, that's for them. Because obviously the fast is a religious thing, and you do it because of whatever the reasons are in that culture and creed. I don't know. But I mean, I've had a case where I fasted literally the entire day. Went to be 8 the evening, woke up, wasn't hungry, had water. Whole day, just had water. I mean, you can't starve yourself of that. And essentially, I'm wet fasting, or dry fasting, however you call it. I don't know. And I only ate again in the evening. I was like, once a day. That is insane. That's when the second time when I did this, I was on that level. I'm eating once a day, and even what I'm dishing to eat, I'm not finishing. I'm full. I'm not sick. I haven't been to the doctor since 2019. Not seen a doctor. And I'm not trying to say this to make people go, yeah, I know this must work because he said this and he said that. I'm saying try what works for you. I mean, I sneezed this morning. Surprisingly, I was like, that's weird. It must be the dust in the mic. And probably is. I mean, I'm fine. Could be the histamine. I don't know. But I mean, you could probably call it intermittent fasting. What was it the other night? 17 hours. Wednesday night, I ate. And then yesterday afternoon, I ate for the first time. That was 17 and a half hours. One of those days. I didn't measure what last night to today's time frame was, but at least 12 or so hours. I mean, I didn't wake up, eat, and then, not eat the whole day. But it may just get to once a day. And I've even heard people say they eat like once every 2 days. I was like, what? That is on the lion diet and the carnivore diet. The people are like, they weren't even hungry. They last ate last night, and it's now 4 p.m. It's 5 p.m. the evening. And you're like, that's almost 24 hours. So, okay, I can do that. Then one guy said, he hasn't eaten in sometimes for 2 days. I was like, sheesh. I don't know if I love food that little, or if that's even good for you. Maybe. But I mean, you don't need food for a good few days. You can survive on water. You need water. So maybe it is possible. Maybe it is normal for him. If he's like, he's not hungry. He's energetic. He's full of life. And We'll see. I mean, it could be in 20, 30 years, people turn back and say, that banding diet was bad for you. It was. I don't have evidence of that as yet. And I'm basing that on the previous two occasions where every single thing that I needed to focus on was on par. You know, you couldn't hide a single thing from me, work wise, in any way. Attention to detail was beyond that. I'd even stick to the attention to detail and then find further things to break down. I mean, I did a claim once where people were like, I walked in with boxes of paper and I'm like, this is all correlated to this and these are the reasons why, this is tied to that and all these things, and they couldn't do but pay the claim. They picked samples to try and, catch it out, and there was nothing wrong. Not 100% correct is what it was. Down to I'm sorry, but for this, we had to do the shutdown, and because of this, my guys were waiting for your guys to switch the water off, so I'm billing you for that. And the guy looked at me, you can't do that. And I was like, yes, I can, because I have to pay them. I have to put on their time cards. They were here for 2 hours sitting around doing nothing. That's not my problem. You said we're switching the water off at 5. My guys were there at 5. You insisted that they be there because I said my guys can come when the water's off. No, they must be there when we're switching the water off. So there you go, idle time. And they wouldn't ordinarily go home at 10, so I'm having to pay the driver to take them home at overtime, and for them to get home safely, I'm billing for that as well. And these people just lost their minds. But I wasn't wrong. That's things like that I never saw before. It was new to me. And I sat there and I was like, how much have we missed out by not doing this? So I can go back and claim for, things in the past. We tried. Got it right, some of them. But, things like that was insane. So intermittent fasting, I don't know if I like that idea because I love food. But, we'll see. But either way, thank you guys for tuning in. I'm going to cut it short because it is now almost 7:30 and I need to get ready for the podcast. I will see you again next week. I think this Friday slot works. At the very least, maybe I could move it to a Sunday morning slot. I don't know. I mean, people don't need to really listen to it live. They can listen to it after the fact. But thank you for tuning in. Those that I can see are tuned in. Let's see what happens in the upcoming week. I've got, how many weeks left? I've got 2 weeks left. And we'll see what happens on the 31st of October if I just carry on into November and then try and gain the weight using fast food chain foods, and see if I can pack that weight on. I'm sure I will because that study's been done, but I'm keen to see it because, like I said, I would have loved to be at 150, 140, 160 kilos, lose a roll cage. You'll appreciate this, Kano. A roll cage's worth of weight. And then by all means, I'm going to strip my card and say, I will fit that roll cage. Thank you very much. Or just drive with all my seats in, having lost a roll cage's weight. So technically, I'm down 90 kilos, 60 to 90 kilos of what a roll cage weighs. If there's anyone that's weighed a car before and after fitting a roll cage, I'd love to know. But based on the material weights and the amount that, several builders and fabricators have told me, that's more or less the weight. But that's a separate issue. That ties in with the podcast and the Carnival Worldwide and the initiative there to say to racers and athletes, I put in inverted commas, and I'm not trying to be sarcastic in saying that, but to say to them, start with you. For what are you doing, 30,000 rands worth of mechanical work to gain 10, 12 kilowatts, 15 kilowatts, depending on the rate of work, to counter the effects of adding a cage or excess weight? Focus on yourself. There's a lot of drag racers that could lose 80 to 110 kilos. Scary prospect, but it's the reality. And I'm sure, a few individuals will agree with me on that. But yeah, don't lose your car items. Lose the weight. People want to take out a 15-kilo seat and a 25-kilo front seat and then suffer by having to fit a 60 to 90-kilo cage. Go on a diet. And then suddenly you'll go maybe half a second quicker. But thank you for tuning in. I will see you guys next week. Let me go and maybe drink some water and have a spoonful of cheese, just to tide me over. And then we'll see if I have fish and or beef ragu again. I don't know. As long as it's cheese, I'm happy. Thank you for tuning in, guys. See you next time.